Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, The Big Deal, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to PvP and win more fights. Let's get started. So I think the most important thing to start is probably going to be something like the augment and using the correct augments to PvP. So the first being the tactical MK2. This is something very easy to craft. All you need is electrical components and magnets. And the reason why it's so good is because it allows you to have medium shield as well as the smoke grenade that deploys once you get cracked. It's helped me in so many situations stay alive. Now, if you want one that's a little bit better, I would personally run either the MK3 defensive or MK3 survivor. The reason being is they both have medium shield, and one allows you to essentially stay alive longer while downed, which also can allow you to crawl out and extract, or two, the other one allows you to use a surge recharger while running. So this is what I'm talking about understanding the augments and how they're good in their own ways. There's some that I would not recommend for PvP. So something like using the MK2, yes, it has two safe spots, but in no way does it really help you survive a PvP fight. Compared to the other ones, you actually have a chance to survive. So that is definitely the first thing that I would recommend, is using the correct augments. So the next thing is going to be shield. If you're ever strictly going for PvP and trying to win fights, you should always be running medium or heavy shield. You should never be running light shield. You're just automatically throwing right away. If you're going into raid saying, I want to kill people, always wear a medium shield, or if not, a heavy shield. The next part is a little bit of a hot take. Now, it's going to be the guns. Now, a lot of people will tell you, oh, use the Venator. It is the best gun in the game and you'll get better at PvP. I personally believe that not to be true. I think when you're going to PvP, you should strictly be using the gun that you are the best with. So there's some people out there that are extremely good with a gun like the Anvil, but they suck when they use something like the Venator. So when you're going out to PvP, don't be afraid to test out all the guns and see which one fits you best. For me personally, I realize when I use something like the Beretta or the Toro, I tend to do better compared to using something like the Venator or the Anvil. Those two guns I am very good at using, and I notice I will win most of my fights using those guns. So just because you see a peak gun or a legendary gun, or everyone says it's the best gun in the game, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best gun for you. Use the gun that you feel the most comfortable with and you typically are going to hit all your shots with, because that's what it comes down to. The only kind of caveat to that is if you want to win more PvP, and let's say if you want to focus on something like trios instead of solos because you play more squad games, that does kind of mean you should be using something like a Torrente in trios. Compared to solos, you don't necessarily use it. So that's kind of like the only difference I'd say, is depending on the game mode you're running, it might be better to use a different type of gun. But overall, in general, I would say use the gun that you are the best with. So moving on to the next thing, the most important thing for guns, you can see here I have most of the attachments unlocked. Yes, they're all very important in their own way, but I'd say overall the most important attachment to have is an extended mag, no matter what the gun is. So if you're going to go out and say, hey, I am the best with the Stitcher, let me run a Stitcher gun and I want to go PvP and kill people. If you can, craft a blue mag. If not, craft a green one, or at minimum, craft a gray one. The reason being is it just allows you more chances to kill someone because you have more shots. Yes, there are other attachments that dramatically help when you're fighting. Something like the padded stock can help you if you're not really good at controlling recoil. But overall, I think the most important attachment to be running when you're PvPing is making sure at minimum you have some type of extended mag. If you can include other attachments that you see here, include whichever ones you feel like running. For an example, something like if I'm running night mode, I try to use silencers at all times. The reason being is there's been a lot of times where I shoot at someone with a silencer and they don't know where I'm at and they're kind of confused, and it allows me to shoot them a couple times before they really realize where I am. So that's where something like a silencer can be extremely beneficial. But overall, just make sure at least you have that mag. Now, the next thing is actually before shooting your guns, the biggest thing right now is having some type of grenade. So if you are unaware, the trigger grenade is by far the best thing in the game. This is better than the gun. The reason why is, it sounds crazy, but I have died so many times recently where a person does not shoot me once and instead they just spam trigger grenades and kill me. I don't even see the person and I die to the trigger grenades. That's how overpowered they are. I'm assuming they will be nerfed soon. And even if they do get nerfed, there are other grenades you can run which are just as good. But as of now, if you're going for PvP, run at minimum 3 trigger grenades. I personally run 6. I'll keep 3 in my safe pocket and I'll run 3 in my loadout. The reason being is there's been a lot of times too where I don't even see the person really. I like quickly peek out of a corner, throw a trigger grenade, blow them up, kill them, and they never even really saw me. That's how overpowered they are. So that's the other biggest thing of PvPing is taking the right grenades in. Now, I'm assuming, like I said, this is going to be nerfed soon. Once this gets nerfed, I will still be using other grenades. I'll be using things like the Trailblazer, which are just as powerful. But I know maybe not everyone has the blueprints. So if you cannot run something like the trigger grenade because it's nerfed, or the Trailblazer because you don't have the blueprint, at least try to take some snap blasts, if not heavy fuse grenades. Remember, the point is to have some type of grenades because not all the time there's situations where you're shooting your gun. There's a time where they're behind cover, you don't have an angle, and you can just throw something to them and kill them. Another one that's kind of slept on is the Jolt mine. I feel like not enough people use mines. It is very situational. However, there's a lot of times where maybe, you want to fight in the control tower on Dam, and there's so many different angles a team can third party you in, and putting in Jolt mines in places where people are going to typically third party you from really help you know that someone is coming, instead of you getting shot in the back and dying because there's someone behind you and you never knew they were there. So that's kind of the next step. Is I would always make sure you're taking in some type of grenades and some type of mines if possible. If you don't feel like taking in mines, at least take in some type of grenades, at minimum a 3 stack. So for the next part, you want to be making sure you have some of the faster heal items instead of using the basic ones. So I notice a lot of people are only taking in basic bandages with shield rechargers. While that might be good in something like solos, but when you're playing in duos or trios, you need to be able to heal up faster. So what I do now is I typically are only taking in something like Vita shots, answer shield rechargers plus regular ones, or if not, I'm taking maybe the sterilized bandages and maybe Vita sprays. So you being able to heal faster will help you win more fights. So there's a lot of times where maybe you're fighting someone, they get you to 1 HP, but you're around the corner, so they have to push you. And you pop something like a bandage. Now, if you pop something like a bandage, that essentially does nothing for you, and it won't really help you because by the time they push you, they're going to more than likely kill you. If you would have had something like a Vita shot where you can get that large amount of health quickly, then there's a chance you could have survived it. Or if you also had the Vita spray and you're spraying yourself really quickly. Now, it might seem really hard to do things like craft these items, but if you have the blueprints, it's very easy if you go on specific places in the map to kind of like stack up what you need, like the antiseptic, the canisters, or the syringes. And then always remember, obviously, your traders also have some of these items. You see right here, syringes, that you need in order to craft those items. So always make sure you're taking in bigger heals. And the second part of that, which is always on here, is adrenaline shots. Every single PvP game you run, you should be taking in adrenaline shots. The reason being, it helps you get along, like around the map quicker. And not only that, it'll help you in fights to be able to dodge roll more. There'll be times where you're sprinting, you can no longer sprint anymore. You have to wait for your bar to like go up again, and then you start fighting someone. So you're not able to dodge roll, or you're not able to get behind cover, and you're just slow walking, so you're free beams. Having adrenaline shots will help with this dramatically. You need to be running at least 5 every time. So right now, I'll go ahead and make a loadout for solos, and then I'll make one for duos and trios and kind of show you what I would be running in a loadout, knowing I'm strictly going for PvP. So this is an example of a loadout I would probably end up using on something like solos. So I'm going to be running the Tactical MK2 medium shield. I always run, no matter what gun it is, around 2 stacks of ammo. Unless it's something like a Torrente, then I will run more. Now for guns, you can see I have 2. I typically would only take in 1 gun, but I wanted to show both of them because another part of PvPing that's important to understand is what map you will be playing. So a good example is if I am running something like Stella Montis, I will be using the Stitcher, just because I know it is extremely close quarters and there's not that many arc that I will be having to deal with that the Stitcher cannot handle. Now, let's say if I wanted to play something like Spaceport, I would actually use the Kettle instead of the Stitcher, mainly because I know a lot of those engagements are long range, and something like the Stitcher, although it being a really good gun, it sucks long range, and I personally, when I'm PvPing, don't like to take in 2 weapons. I only like to take in 1. So I would only take in the kettle for something like Spaceport compared to the Stitcher that I would use on Stella Montes. So I think that's another thing, is understanding what maps you plan to PvP on and kind of what guns also go with those maps that you're also good at essentially using. For heals, you can see I have a big heal. I don't feel like I need surge shield rechargers when it comes to solos, but you can take some, of course. I have my grenades, I have my adrenaline shots, and I also have a zipline. I always like to take some type of extra heals. Maybe it's bandages, or if not bandages, maybe I'll take some herbal bandages. I'll switch this around, or if not, I'll even maybe do something like more nades. Something that I find important too is keeping stuff in your safe pocket. So if I have the availability to leave something in my safe pocket, I will, because there's a chance I go into the raid and I just die automatically. And I'd rather die with this in my safe pocket than me having it here and dying with it right there. So I understand I already have some type of grenades to use, and when I'm done using the trigger grenades, I could take it out of my safe pocket and be able to use those. So that's what I would do for solos. For duos or trios, I would do almost the same thing. The only difference is, the biggest thing, if you're not running them, you're throwing, is defibs. Depending if you're playing duos or trios, I like to take 2 to 3 in, and those I always have equipped. So I would maybe do this if I was running duos or trios, and maybe instead of running only 1 gun, I would run 2 guns. So I would maybe run, let's say, a Stitcher, and then also an anvil for range, just so that way I have close range and far range available. And then I would also, though, I like to use, instead of the tactical MK2 for duos or trios, I do prefer something like the survivor augment. The reason being is I like to take in extra heals when it comes to duos or trios, because I tend to be spending more heals. So what I'll do in this case is I'll have something like this. So you see, I'm going in with a lot of heals, so I'm able to fight teams, because, you know, you're always going to have the chance you go into a game, and yeah, you wipe a team, but you wipe a team with a free loadout, and they drop you essentially no heals, because they probably popped the 1 shield recharger that they did have and the 2 bandages. So I like to do something like this, so I have enough heals for around 2 to 3 fights, and by then I should find more heals, theoretically speaking. So this to me is like a perfect duos trios loadout, so that way these extra heals that I have, I'm keeping them in my safe pockets to allow me to save them just in case I die for the very first team I run into. Like I said, always have to have defibs when you're playing anything like duos or trios. The augmented slots that can change, you can run a zip line depending on the map you're on, or if not, a barricade, or even mines. Mines is something really big that you can run as well. It's kind of up to you on what you want to use. But I'd say this is kind of like the most important thing to understand when you're going to PvP, is having the correct loadout before you even start. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to give you guys 3 tips I have for in general when we're PvP fighting in game, and talk over some clips. Won't have any pickle for this one because I'm looking at some older gameplay. You can just see my old pickle right there. But anyways, this first tip is going to be to get off angles and stay a little bit spread out from your teammates. So you can see right here, both of my teammates run one side, I go on the other side. This kid thinks we're all in that corner, chases really hard, and I'm able just to kill him in the back while he shoots our teammates. You can't ignore this other kid you'll see in the room right now. I'm not shooting him because we revived him up. We had first wiped his team, and then another team came by to third party us, so we just decided to keep him up as a little bit of bait for us. So you can see right here too, I'm getting an off angle by peeking this window that not that many people know about. They did nade me, but I was able to get 1 shotgun shot off first. And this is really important here, because when you use these off angles, you'll notice a lot of people tend not to peek you, and you're able to get those quick shots off before they realize where you're at. So that's what I definitely recommend, is you don't want to always be on top of your teammates so much, because also a lot of people are running the meta, which is trigger nades. And if they spam a lot of trigger nades at you and you guys are all bunched up, you're essentially going to die really easily as well. But this is a good example of getting an off angle. You'll see right here, I'm healing this random to go be my bait. But what I do is, instead of going through this doorway to the right and to find them right away, I know they're going to be holding that peak extremely hard. So I quickly look, see if I get a shotgun shot. I don't see one. And I flank around into the other side of the building so I can get a shot on them as they're peeking that doorway. Sure enough, I go over here. They're not even remotely looking over here because they're focused on that hallway. I shoot once, throw a grenade, and I'm able to get a knock because of it. So that is definitely one of the biggest tips I have, is making sure you're getting those off angles, because it really helps with you getting free shots on the enemy. So So that's going to be the first tip, and let's move on to the next one. All right, for this clip here, what you're going to see is I'm not going to have any pickle talking right now, just a clip that I'm going over. So once you do everything I said right, having the right augment, having grenades, it will be easier to fight. So you can see right here, I bring in jolt mines in this raid. I'm fighting in the main building and damn battlegrounds where people usually third party you from. So I'm specifically putting down jolt mines to make sure if I fight a team and someone tries to sneak up behind me, I know they're coming. And typically speaking, this is like the best thing you can do, just because if you know you want to PvP, there's always going to be other people around. We do hear someone to the right here, so we do know there's a team to the right. I do try to place another jolt mine, but you see it ends up getting destroyed by that arc for some reason. I guess the fire destroys it. But this is very important. The other two tips I say is try not to be too stacked on your teammate, just because it is better to have a little bit of space just in case you start throwing nades. So we see them right there. They're in that hallway. We expect them to peek over there. So we come here and look at this guy flanking. So this guy you see flanking us right now, he had the exact same idea of getting better angles, something I mentioned earlier, but we just beat him to it. So we were able to kill him. So that's what I'm talking about, always looking for different spots. You will see me throw some grenades right here and just crack this kid with C4. Like I said earlier, always run that C4. I cracked him there. I throw another one here and blow it up for some reason. I don't know. That was just me being a bot. But you will see me using the Vita shot. So using those heals to quickly heal up because I know that guy's cracked and essentially push them as quick as possible. So you can see we know they're cracked. So we just go down. Or sorry, at this point, my teammate actually already knocked him as well because he hit him with a C4. So we didn't even have to shoot the second kid and we were able to kill him. So overall, this is, I think, the best way to PvP is running things like the trigger grenades, making sure you're using the weapons you're really good with, as well as having heals that are going to heal up your full shield and health a lot quicker than something like a bandage. And then I'm going to skip a little bit more ahead in this clip and you guys will see us fight another team and kind of how we handle that situation. So in this next clip, you'll see right here, it's the same game I was just in and we actually fight some more people. And this is a really good example of some do's and some don'ts. So you'll see right here, I want to change my inventory around and instead of me getting behind cover, I'm kind of just doing it in the open. I'm trying to put some shield rechargers in my safe pocket just to have them. And I should have just been behind cover. There's no reason for me to just do that in the open. And I could have died because of that. So that's a really good PvP tip. Just not to do things that you shouldn't be doing. So like right there. And right here, I leave my teammate alone. He is somehow able not to die. And the reason being is it ends up being two teams that are fighting. So we are lucky enough to stay alive. And you can see right here, he somehow makes it out. It's two teams. I'm trying to get my heals the correct way. And then I still have that jolt mine on the left side. See that jolt mine go off because someone shot it on the right side, but I didn't notice him at first. That guy in front of me, and that guy in front of me doesn't even know I'm behind him because I've been kind of quiet the whole time. So I clip him in the back, and I make him push into the other team, which makes him get knocked. Like I said, it's two teams up right now. So that guy's knocked. So I know there's probably around 3 guys alive right now, but we know they're fighting down there. So we do want to push in third party because there goes the second knock. So I'm assuming it's 1 duo team up or 2 solos up. Just in case I end people just so they don't crawl away. I crack him here once with the anvil. That kid's knocked. So it should be only 1 guy up. Throw a C4. But I see me and my teammate are both not really high on health. So I'm just going to go ahead and shield recharger here. And then we're going to push in and finish this team. So like I said, I mean, I feel like if you follow these tips overall, it'll really help improve your PvP. Is just having those grenades to throw and being able to shoot them. We couldn't really find this guy, by the way, because he was in the dark. But we eventually see where he's at. I see my teammates low, so I play a little bit slow, waiting for him to heal up. Just C4 him to be safe, and then push in to just end him off with the bobcat. And then another last tip I say I have before I'll end the video is you want to make sure you typically always heal before you loot. So you should not be looting up when you're 1 HP, like right there I'm 1 HP and I didn't directly go for his loot. I'm making sure I get all the way full just in case another team comes in. And what you don't hear in the audio is my teammate right now is he is watching over me as I loot this body. So typically what we do is, you know, we kill 2 people, I get 1 body, he gets the other body. And the reason why it's best to do this is he's watching over me because we know we're going to have a lot of good loot and we essentially don't want to die with all this good loot. So we're doing this. You can see I pulled 2 Tempests here. I have a Bobcat as well from the other kids we killed. And it's just very important that you have someone doing this, watching over while someone loots. Because if we do get third party, we'll be able to just handle them a lot easier. And you'll see right now after this, once I'm done looting this body, I tell him, okay, you can go loot the other body and I'll watch over you. And the reason why, like I said, is just there's a lot of times where more people will sneak up on you. And doing this will just be really helpful. But that's pretty much it for the video. Let me know down below if you guys are trying to PvP more, if you guys have been focusing on PvE, and also drop down any comments on any other videos you maybe want to see. And right here, the reason why I just looted this guy quickly is, by the way, and I'm not watching over him, is because he called out the other guy was free kit. So I wanted to see which one had the good loot just to let him know. And that's when I was telling him in game, like, hey, that's the body with the good loot. So yeah, guys, make sure you guys drop a like down below and let me know the other videos you want to see. Peace.